How many of you, and I want you to raise your hands, believe we are in an international economic war? Come on, raise your hands. I can't see. I'm blinded up here. All right, this general response I get. How many of you believe we're winning that war? Same response. Well, we're not doing very well. For most Americans, they are seeing their standard of living diminishing. They're seeing their incomes eroding. They're seeing high personal debt. They're seeing high unemployment and underemployment. You know, Groucho Marx once said, politics is the art of looking for trouble, finding it everywhere, diagnosing it incorrectly, and applying the wrong remedies. And that's pretty much what this country has been doing. This is evidenced by the fact that America is now facing a new world order. The International Monetary Fund is now saying that by 2016, that's not far off, China's economy will surpass the US economy and become the world's largest economy. Now we have to understand, China's economy is not growing in unison with the US economy, but rather at the expense of the US economy. It is not complementary to our economic well-being. Gross domestic product is how we economists judge how the country is doing, and that basically is the amount of goods and service we're producing. And that's gotten back to pre-recessionary levels. The problem is that American companies are doing more with fewer employees. We have to stop kidding ourselves in this country. For most Americans, they don't feel the recovery. We really should be looking at unemployment and median family income as the better judge of what's going on in this nation. Let's look at these two factors. Jobs equal revenue. We have high deficits, state deficits, high national deficits, because income, on the income side of the equation, we're hurting. Most states have adjusted to this by cutting costs, but they've done little or nothing on the revenue side, creation of jobs. Some states like Utah have, but most of the states in the country have not. They've looked at this problem, and what they've done is tried to adjust to it by cutting costs and cutting services. And at the federal level, we've done nothing. I mean, in terms of job creation at the federal level, this country is pathetic. The United States used to be the world's greatest job-generating machine, but that title is rapidly shifting to China. This is what's happened to median family income from 1990 to 2010. During this period, median family income decreased, on average, 0.68%, decreased 0.68%. Inflation, the cost of living, during the same period increased 3.2%. The result is the middle class is diminishing in this country, and it's diminishing very quickly. More and more people are falling into the lower class. Give you some idea what this means for the American people. We now have $15,956 in household credit card debt for those people who use credit cards. Well before the recession started, this nation had the highest national and trade deficit of any nation in history. It had high unemployment, it had high personal debt, high personal bankruptcy, and stagnant wages and decreasing standard of living. This is before the recession. States are in trouble. Budget deficits projected for 2013 for all states are close to $50 billion. Most states have raised taxes, sought federal funding, cut services, and again, as I said, paid lip service to job growth. We need jobs in this country in order to increase revenue. In the states, many of them have not done what they should be doing. A couple years ago, I had a project was going to involve 800 jobs. And as typical, we do some research. We identify states that are going to accommodate this particular client. It's 800 manufacturing, very well-paid manufacturing jobs. And we came down to 2 states, one of which was a western state. And then we identified communities within those states and then properties within those communities. At that point, we're in contact with the state's economic development department, and they generally assign a project manager to the project. Well, we're going to go to this particular state, and they had assigned these 2 young guys to be project managers. So we fly in, and I've got the CEO and CFO of this big company. We fly into the airport, and we meet these 2 young guys. We get in the van, and then their job is to take us around to the communities, show us the properties, show us the community, introduce us to the political leaders and the economic development people, and basically sell the state and these communities. So we start driving. My clients start asking questions about the labor in the state, about taxation, and I soon realize I'm answering all the questions. These 2 guys don't have a single answer. So we finally take a little break at lunchtime, and I pull the 2 of them aside and I say, what's going on here, guys? This is your opportunity to sell your state, to sell these communities. I should not be the one answering the questions. How come you don't have the answers? And the one guy says, well, you know, Tom's uncle here is a state senator, and he got us these jobs a year ago, and he's only going to be in office for another 6 months, and he's not going to run again. And we just thought this was a lot to learn for, 18 months. And I'd like to say this was an unusual situation, but I run across this over and over again in a lot of states. So we complete the day, and at the end of the day, we're at the airport, and the corporate jet is there, and they're warming it up. Now, these 2 guys pull me aside, and they go, Ron, you've been in this business a long time. You know a lot of people in corporate real estate and economic development all over the country and in consulting. He said, Tom and I are kind of tired of this job. We're looking for something else. Could you recommend anybody? And I said, yeah, I got a guy for you. So I gave him the name, phone number of one of my competitors in New York. How our government solves problems. It's what I call the morphine solution. Let's say you break your leg, and you go to the doctor, and the doctor says, look, got 2 ways to deal with this. One is we could set your leg, put it in a cast. He says, it's going to take a couple months. You're going to have to, it's kind of painful setting and put in a cast, very discomforting. You're going to have to hobble around on crutches. And then after the leg sets, you're going to have to go through a couple months of physical therapy. He said, the other alternative is we could shoot you full of morphine and keep it up while your leg heals. Now, you'll be in a state of euphoria through the whole time. But at the end of the time, your leg will never heal properly, and you'll always have a problem with it. And this is what our federal government has been doing for years. We always select the morphine solution. Bush's $700 billion bailout plan, Obama's $787 billion American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, Obama's job plan to the tune of $400 billion. None of these have reversed the long-term trends in this country. The national deficit is still rising rapidly, the trade deficit is still rising rapidly, and unemployment is high. So how does this great nation get into this trouble? Abraham Lincoln once said, "We will never be destroyed from outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves." This is a primary premise of my book.